Are there any questions before we begin? All right. Couple things announcement wise. If you're typing question, that's fine. It's test week. So a couple things happened during test week. One, my office hours are going to change for Friday because at the same time you have test week, so does the discrete math class. They actually have their test at 12:30. It's going to go a little over. It always does. So my office hours, I won't have in-person office hours on Friday. I will have virtual office hours on Friday. They will be moved later in the afternoon, later in the day a little bit. So that's the first major change for test week. So I should just, keep saying test week stuff. As I just, do this over on the side. So test week stuff. So office hours later on Friday, virtual only, no on campus. Second thing, there will be a test review. A special session just devoted to the test. Test review will be Wednesday at 7 p.m. The whole purpose of this test review is just if you want to come, you want to talk, we'll be on Discord. I don't know where else we'll be. So what I usually do is I go over the structure of the test. I go a little bit over the structure of how the things get graded. And the purpose of the test review is just kind of give you a little, zen about what's going on. So actually, let me just put up let's see, can I make this work here? Yes. I don't know why it's cutting off my head again. I do know why. It's because the camera is down too low. Anyway. So that is Wednesday at 7 p.m. is the test review. It will be on Discord. We will talk about the test. We will talk about all sorts of things like the test. Basically, it's a form for you to open questions. Okay. Speaking of which, on Canvas, if you go to Files, yes. If you go to Files, if you go to Test Reviews, you will see in Test 1, you will see the review topics. So, give this a minute. I don't know why it's taking so long to open. Okay. It really doesn't work, does it? There we go. So you will see all the topics that are the thing. Reminder that the exam is at 9 a.m. on Saturday. It will close at 10:45. You have to submit by 10:45. So it's not like you really have like 75 minutes to take the exam plus 30 minutes to figure stuff out with Proctorio. And so there's padding built in, but don't just think of that as extra time for the test. It's not. That's time to get things scanned and uploaded. You will also be able to see there's a whole bunch of problems. Each of the sections, you will see problems from the book, the section number with the examples. You will also see all of the quizzes listed. So if you see anything on these quizzes, these are good things to, and the problem set, stuff from the quizzes, stuff from the problem sets. All of this is available online right now. I'm seeing a bunch of questions. Hold on for just a moment. I have to find the questions tab again. Okay. So it's under files. It's under, I did post it to the right section, right? Last time I did that too. You see where it is here? It's posted to the test reviews, test 1, test reviews. It's under files. Okay. Okay, so some people, this is us, right? 2311, R901, R02, fall 20. Okay, so it is there. If you click on files, you go to the test reviews. And it's on This is us, 2311 R02 R901 files. Okay, does everyone see the files button? There's a files button there. Does everyone see it on the left? Okay. When you click on it, does everyone see test reviews under the folder? Okay, so there's no folder called test reviews. Okay, hit refresh. Now is there a folder called test reviews? All right. Excellent. Okay, so that seems to have fixed the problems. Okay, so for some reason it wasn't showing up. Probably because I had like unpublished it and forgot to republish it, or maybe I hit the button accidentally at some point. Okay, so now it's up. Thank you. So there's a test review on. So there's a list of problems online. Okay, then there are. Then there are 2 test reviews on WebAssign. Okay. They're both extra credit. One is a collection of true-false problems, and the other is a bunch of problems. Okay, those are due Friday at midnight. Or 11:59, whatever. And then there is the bootleg. So this is what I do every year, and it's not ready for this year yet. It will be ready this afternoon and posted this afternoon. This is the bootleg quiz. Let me tell you what it's about. So the reason why it's not ready yet is because I had to get approval for, well, basically everything. Basically what's happened is that the other instructors thought it was giving my students an unfair advantage to have this bootleg quiz, practice quiz, to which I responded, well, you know, it's unfair that they got a better instructor. So, you know, it's unfair that you got a better instructor, but, you know, what can I say? So the bootleg quiz is worth 40 bonus quiz points. Now, the other instructors stole my bootleg and called it the practice test. Okay? I'm going to add a problem or two, change a couple of the things in here, but this is the practice test that everybody else has gotten. But for me, it's the bootleg, and it's worth extra credit to do it. Okay? So here's how it works. The bootleg is both longer and harder than the actual test. Now, it used to be a lot harder. It's gotten, you know, since they took the bootleg and since they're sharing it, they kind of dumbed it down a little bit. So I put some of the harder stuff back in, and basically all the harder stuff got, some of it's coming back, but, you know, most of it's just going to be what it is. They took out the good question for sign. That pisses me off. Maybe I'll put it back. Oh, there it is. They just changed it to another question. Okay, so what this is, if you look on the bootleg when it's posted, it's not posted yet because I have to add the points back, and there's one more question I wanted to put back in. And they took out Daffy Duck. Oh, well. But these questions right here, okay, the test, they look very similar to the problems on the test, but they're harder. The ones on the bootleg. The test questions are usually a little bit easier than the ones on the bootleg. So what I'm going to do is when I post it, it's due Friday. You take it like a test using Proctorio. Okay. So you print it out or you do it on your own paper. You must show all your work, communicate. The instructions are pretty much the same as they are in the actual test, as long as they don't change things between now and then. And what you do, it's due by 1 p.m. on Friday. Okay. So what you do is you print it out just like a regular quiz. You figure out the problems, but then you have to print out a new one, take it closed book. Okay. You have to take it closed book before Friday at 1 p.m. using Proctorio. At 1 p.m. on Friday, I'll post the answer key. Okay. And it's worth 2 quiz grades, right? 40 points. That's 2 free quizzes of pure bonus, extra credit. Are there any questions about that? Okay, so this is not up yet. There's a question about this here. This is not posted yet because I have to fix it. I just got it back yesterday, and I haven't had a chance this morning to fix it yet and put all the points and things like that back in. But it will be up later. Okay. Are there any questions about that? So the WebAssign extra credits are due Friday at 11:59 p.m., I believe, and the bootleg quiz is due Friday at 1 p.m. All right, so for test stuff, you have the following. We have office hours will be later on Friday and extended and only virtual. And only virtual. Okay? Wednesday, test review, 7 p.m. on Discord. It may also be on Twitch. I may stream part of it and not the other, but it's going to be on Discord at the very least. There's a list of problems online. There's a test review online with a list of problems, theorems, etc. to do. Okay. The two test reviews on WebAssign, both are extra credit for WebAssign. And then there's a bootleg quiz at 1 p.m. The bootleg quiz is due at 1 p.m. to be posted today. Okay. Is there any extra credit that goes to the exam? No. I don't know how the exam is structured. I don't know how the point structure is done yet. And I don't know how the rubric is going to look exactly beyond what I asked. So that's the answer to that question. Are there any other questions? Okay. So let's get on with the quiz. Can you keep both tabs open? Yes, you just have to mute one of them. So yes, you can, but you just have to mute either Twitch or Blackboard. If you right click on the Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, so in Chrome, if you're opening this thing on Chrome, okay, obviously I can't open Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, but I'll show you how to do it real fast on this one. If you're using Blackboard Collaborate Ultra on Chrome, if you right click, you can go to mute site, and that'll mute that particular tab. If you want to mute Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, you just go there and then there. What is the normal average on the test? I'll get into the test during the test review session. We need to stop talking about the test and move on to the stuff for today. But the test one tends to be the lowest overall because it's the first time. My classes tend to do better, but I don't know what the stuff is going to be like this year. I don't know if the how the dynamic is going to change this year. I imagine that some instructors have done a better job at getting people that are really lost. I imagine that other, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what the response is going to be to this online thing. So usually my students do a little bit better on the first exam. Last year, my classes were 1 and 2 for the first exam. For the second exam, and then for the second exam, people usually do pretty well. And then, so the lowest score tends to be the first exam average. And then of people that stay, okay, the lowest score. So a lot of people usually drop if they don't do very well on the first exam. Of the people that stay, the third exam is usually the hardest. So that's kind of how the dynamic works. Okay, I've spent way too much talking about that. I'm trying to limit the amount of time I spend talking about stuff, like how much time I'm spending talking about stuff, which is all very meta. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's talk about this quiz. I will be happy to answer any questions that you have at a different time. Especially for that Wednesday night quiz review. All right. State the definition of continuity. This one's very hard. F is continuous at A if the limit as x goes to A of f of x equals f of A. Period. End of discussion. Okay? There are other definitions. So you've got kind of this working definition, which is that the limit from the left equals the limit from the right equals the thing. You can also do that. You can also do the epsilon-delta definition, although why would you? But it is fair. Are there any questions about that? Yes, you still have peer leading. Okay. Yes, you still have peer leading on Friday. As I said, I will have extended office hours, and I will make sure that and peer leading also has a test review. So there's that too. Okay. State any questions about that? 1 to 5. How do we feel about that definition? So let me see here. Can I do this? Oh, polling. Hey, multiple choice. First definition. So question 1. Oops. All right. Well, that's going. Intermediate value theorem. Okay. All right. So let's do the core pieces. What's the picture I want to think of? It looks something like this. So here's my picture. All right. I know that there's like an f of A and an f of B. I know that there's like an A and a B down here. So that's f of A. That's f of B. A, B. All right, now I know that there's this y concept V, and I know that there's this x concept U. And the picture I have in my head is that there exists a time Okay, so I kind of have this this idea in my head. Oops, multiple choice. There we go. So I kind of have this idea in my head that if I drop a ball from 6 feet and it falls to 3 feet, there's a time when the ball is 4 feet. Okay. All right, so that's sort of how I remember this. So I've got some x space stuff, some y space stuff. Okay, so from this graph, I'm going to construct my definition, okay? If, then, let's see, if f is continuous on AB and V is strictly between f of A and f of B, then there exists U in AB so that f of U equals V. Okay. And then I can like fill in some nice little preamble here. Let's see. I'm going to let f defined on, let f be let a b b a let f be defined on AB. And V in the Y space. Okay, and that's it. So, how do we feel about that definition 1 to 5? I'm sorry, that definition, that theorem. 1 to 5, how do we feel about that statement? So, what I did was I drew the picture. I kind of have this intuition about what it means. If I draw a ball from 6 feet to 3 feet, there's a time when the ball is 4 feet. So that's kind of, there's that X, right? There's that U. And I kind of, no, so you don't need to draw the graph. You don't need to write so this right here is how I remember it. Oops. Right, I just did that off the top of my head, and I didn't look at it ahead of time. Okay, so what happened there was I didn't, let's see, stop. So I didn't memorize the statement. Okay, I memorized the picture. So, and this little metaphor for myself. So I don't actually, if you ask me to state the intermediate value theorem, I didn't go look it up before class, before now. I remember this, and then I kind of piece it together from the picture and from my little metaphor. Okay, so it's not like automatic for me. I have to think about it for a moment, but I can think about it because I remember it by this. And this is a permanent thing, right? Now I can just call it up anytime. I just have to draw it up. Okay? So it's, that's one of the tricks to memorize. What if you don't put the green sentence? You don't have to. The green sentence is preamble. It's, you get a little bit of refund points if you don't have the green sentence. The important stuff is the stuff written in purple. So the green stuff is just preamble. You don't need it. It's nice, but you don't need it. Okay. State the definition of the derivative. All right. Now, here's what I do. Okay. The important thing to remember, and the important thing kind of from problem set 3, which I know we kind of botched because we only really had one class period, and I ruined it by going over and over and over on the quiz, which I'm doing again. But the big thing about problem set 3 was that you have to remember that limit has context. Okay. Now, what I do to remember it for me, okay, is I do this. I write fix x. Then I do f prime of x. You don't have to do this. Equals the limit as h goes to 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x all over x. Or I say this, fix x, f prime of x equals the limit as t goes to x of f of x minus f of t all over x minus t, which is the exact same thing as saying f prime of x equals the limit as x goes to t of f of t minus f of x all over t minus x. They're both the exact same things. Okay? Oops, you're right, over h. I would have picked that up in just a moment because I'm about to do something. But thank you. You are correct. I was wrong. All right, and the way I remember it is this. Obviously, I didn't remember it very well because I messed it up. This is how I remember it. So I've got this little graph here. I've got the tangent line going here. And I've got this point here, x. And I've got this point here, x plus h. And then I just remember that this is going this way. Right? And this is f of x. And this is f of x plus h. So this is going this way. And that's how I remember it. The other way you can remember it is that dy over dx, this is another way of saying it, equals the change in y, the limit as change in x goes to 0 of change in y over change in x, which is the exact same thing. Okay? All right. Are there any questions about that? I've lost my list of questions. You may use any one you want. Okay? And the point is that they're actually equivalent definitions. Okay? Now, do you have to have the fixed x? No. I put the fixed x there to remember. Okay? You don't have to have it. But I put it there to remember that this x is a fixed x. It's a point. And these two definitions are perfectly equivalent. Okay? Do I want to do this t minus x or x minus t? Let's see. I think I want to do this t minus x. Yeah. So let h equal t minus x. Then that means t equals, if I move this over to this side, this becomes h plus x, or x plus h. Then I take this here and I just sub in, and this becomes f prime of x equals the limit as so, and then the limit as t goes to x of h equals the limit as t goes to x of t minus x, which equals x minus x, which equals 0. So this becomes the limit as h goes to 0. When I take that and put it at the bottom of f of, instead of t, I've got h plus x, or x plus h. Let's put h plus x. Minus f of x all over h. So these two definitions are equivalent. Okay? You don't need the graph, you don't need the dy dx, you only need the one purple equation. Okay. All right. And that's a very important definition, obviously. That's kind of the whole point of the first test, the first module. Okay, prove that this thing has at least one real root. This is one of the problems from the textbook. And it has a root if f of x equals 0. So I want to show that there exists u in 1, 2, so that f of u equals 0. Strategy. Use IVT. Okay, so I already know that for this one, I'm going to use the IVT. So I already wrote it up ahead. So what do I need to show? I need to show that f is continuous. So meet condition 1. F is a polynomial, and thus F is continuous everywhere. In particular, on the closed interval 1, 2. Okay? So condition 1 is met. Now, the other thing I need to show is that V is strictly between f of A and f of B. Yeah, make this a little clearer since this is the key. Oops, not a plus, minus. All right, 2 to the 4th is what? Yep. All right. So how do we feel about that? 1 to 5. I know my head's in the way. So what did I do? Well, I knew that I was going to use the IVT, right? So what did I do? So I said, okay, I want to show. The question was real root, so I rewrote the question. Okay? That was the first bit for my introduction. Then my strategy, I'm going to use the intermediate value theorem. So what do? I need to meet these two conditions. I need f to be continuous on AB and v, the thing, 0 between f of A and f of B. So that's what I did here. I did it here and I did it here. Thus, by the IVT, there exists a u in 1, 2, so that f of u equals there. There's my conclusion, and then this is kind of my tag. And f has a real root in 1, 2, QED. Okay? So I restated the problem. I said how I was going to do it. Okay? And then I did it. Now, can you factor this problem? Can you? Well, let's see. I don't know. Eisenstein's criterion can't be used on it to figure out if you can factor it or not. Anyone get a factoring for it? You can use the quartic formula to actually solve for the root, but why would you? I didn't ask you for what it was. I just asked you to find it. Okay. So that's the conclusion of, so the y value I need is 0. Okay? Well, what if the equation isn't a polynomial? So what if it's a trig function, like a sine or something? If it's sine or cosine or some combination of sine, cosine, plus whatever, you would say, well, it's a trig function added to a polynomial. It's continuous. You know, you would have to say what it is, right? If it's a rational function, you would actually have to show that it's continuous on that thing. Right? If it's a rational function, you have to show that the bottom doesn't equal 0 on your interval. Okay. Any other questions? Those are good questions. Yeah, pretty much. If it uses IVT, that's enough. Can you use the dx over dy definition up here? Yes, you could get away with it if I'm grading it, because it actually is correct. It's not very useful though. I would very much memorize these two definitions, because this one here is not useful. It's harder to use that. It's easier to remember that, but it's harder to use that to prove things. These are the two definitions you want when you prove things, and usually this one's easier to work with, the one with the h. And you'll see that when we start proving things with these derivatives. Are there any other questions? All these questions are good.